your evil mind.
Hold your insulting tongue and mock my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard coming from another man in Brooklyn, one agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough of Kings, live and direct. We're back once again.
Mentally been many places, but I'm Brooklyn's own.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed. And you can find us on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Gia. And to kick off the show tonight, Agent 70 is going to regale us with his thoughts on the most recent Marvel animated property thingamabob. It's Marvel Zombies. Sure.
So I was just telling Roddykat, who did not have an opportunity yet to check out Marvel Zombies. It's a 4-episode event. It's hard to call it a miniseries, but it's a 4-episode event. Animated event that is obviously based upon the MCU version of these characters, and so they've taken to adapting the concept of Marvel Zombies into the MCU, specifically at interesting points in the history of the MCU continuity. And so some things changed, some things were adapted. I am not a big zombie person. I did not read the Marvel Zombies originally when they were published in comic book form. I will say that it was interesting. I do understand that there are definitely some zombie movie and zombie storytelling tropes that find themselves repeated. That's why they're tropes throughout lots of different zombie stories in various forms in various mediums and in various forms, right? Some of that exists here. Some of that is kind of twisted, or at least your expectations are subverted because of the fact that there are superheroes and superpowers and magic and other thing and cosmic relations and cosmic, things going on in the Marvel universe. So that is, that kind of affects the storytelling and some of the tropes and concepts of zombie storytelling. But that's what makes it interesting, right? That's what makes it a Marvel zombie story. I will say that it turned out to be, fairly good, a fairly tight story. The ending was, kind of like a what? Like why would you end at this particular point? But I think that's what happens with a lot of these zombie movies and zombie stories. The endings are kind of left to be, I don't know if bleak is the right word, but that's kind of how it feels. The few zombie things that I do find myself watching, that's probably the best way to describe how I would characterize the endings. I'll tell you that one of the things that I mentioned to Roddykat when I told him that I'd given a couple of hours to watching this yesterday. I burned through the whole thing because sports was not sporting for me yesterday, for real. And if you look at the scoreboard from yesterday's evening of baseball action, you understand why. And one of the things that I was happy to see was that there were several returning Marvel actors reprising their roles in the animated space, giving their voice acting some exercise. And several of the actors that I referred to, it's a minor spoiler, but at the end of the day, I was happy to see Simu Liu and Aquafina reprise their roles. Always happy to see a nice representation for members of the Thunderbolts, the Thunderbolts cast, who came back to Marvel Animation to reprise their roles. I know that in What If and in other stories, the Thunderbolts characters have had a good amount of representation because they're obviously the most recent group of characters to have their introduction in the Marvel universe, short of the Fantastic Four. So it was nice to see them come back, and like there's a nice little troupe of younger actors who came back for Marvel Zombies. They were Dominic Thorne, from Ironheart, Haley Steinfeld from Hawkeye, and Iman Vellani from Ms. Marvel. And that was really good to see. So, minor spoilers, but it was really great to see those particular characters show up and have the actors reprise their roles. So I would suggest checking it out. I know that Roddykat's probably not going to check it out at any point at any time soon, but he might very well. We don't know. But yeah, that's Marvel Zombies animated series or animated event for Disney Plus.
Cool. Yeah, and at some point, not, it's not lighting the fire for me to do so, but yeah.
Yeah, no rush. I understand.
But yeah, to get there. Cool. That being the case, we shall move over to the books of the week, starting with books that we have in common with Ultimate Spider-Man number 21.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 21 is written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by David Messina. Colors are by Matthew Wilson and Eric Arciniega. Letters are by VC's Corey Petit. We get a little bit of parts of the story are moving several of the ongoing story threads along that Hickman is carrying through this series. We're getting some of it intertwining, and we're getting a little bit of we're getting a little bit of a more in-depth look at another Spider-Man villain who I forget I forget how recently he was introduced in the main comic book universe, but it's been a while. Like we're talking like One More Day, like just after One More Day, or Brand New Day, I think it is, in the Marvel comics. And we're talking about Mr. Negative. And we're getting the ultimate version of Mr. Negative. And I always have to refresh my memory of what this character can do, because I think given that this character has been ported over, I guess, is one way to put it, ported over to many different mediums and video games and animated series. I think there are always a few things that stay consistent, but I always have to remind myself what a particular version can or cannot do. And I like that this issue goes through what this version of Mr. Negative, does, and how he came into his powers and basically his origin story. And one of the cool things about this issue is that there's an intertwining between what is going on with the let's call it the group of Mysterios, and the other members of like the the Cabal-esque group of bad guys who are running New York City and obviously running the Ultimate Universe under the guidance of the Maker. So there's a lot going on here. It's a nice little chapter in the story. That's the way I saw it. I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. Yeah, as Agent 70 said, we do get a little bit on Mr. Negative. We get his backstory in this universe, kind of intertwined with other things that are going on here, but also leading to a thing that happens at the end with with his machinations and the Mysterios, of which the only thing I can say about that is like, boy, if that actually happened, there's going to be somebody that's very, very upset. And without giving away who it is, yeah, it is somebody who's kind of been relatively integral to Ultimate Spider-Man. Not necessarily Peter or any of his family, but someone close to the situation, let's just say. But if that happened the way it actually looked like it happened, then yeah, somebody's gonna be upset. That being said, like I said, we get a little bit more with Ben and Uncle Ben and JJJ as they're putting things together, which is also leading back to someone that is associated with Mr. Negative and basically who he's trying to come up from under. You can pretty much guess who that is if you know what's been going on in this universe. There was well, let's put it this way. Harry and Otto chat, and while they were chatting, it just so happened that Harry started messing with a thing that may or may not beget another spider character.
Right.
That was being shown. I don't know if it's one tied to a specific spider person that we know of that's probably also still running around the universe, but from the 616. But they already have the power, so it kind of doesn't matter at that point, unless they do a thing that like they did on the side. But we'll see. But yeah, so that's the thing. You kind of figured like Hickman didn't just throw that in there just for no reason. That's going to come back up at some point. You would think, but in what way and who's going to get it? Who's to say? But yeah, it's another pretty good issue, of Ultimate Spider-Man, and pretty much looking forward to seeing the fallout from what happened at the end of this issue. See how that played out.
Yeah.
If it indeed played out like it looked as it did. So. That being the case, though, we can move on to the next book that we have in common, which is, excuse me, I think I switched. I did. I switched them up. Hold on a second. Excuse me. The Thing, number 505.
The Thing number 505 is written by Tony Fleeks with art by Justin Mason, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So what we find here is the finale of the Thing limited series, and a lot of things get revealed, and a lot of comeuppance is had. Right? That seemed to be the theme of this particular finale issue. This is the last issue of this limited series. And, the Thing finally figures out what's going on. The Thing finally gets to, hash out where this particular old friend has gone to, or what's happened to this particular friend. And also who seems to be sending all of these random bad guys with, through a bounty that's been placed on his head. And he, it's always interesting to see this character pop up in places other than like traditional comics where he's a traditional bad guy. So to see how this might fit in with kind of slide into some of the other stories that we have currently in the Marvel universe is interesting. That's always the job for the intern who's writing the Ohatmu entry, right? So that's my old joke. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a nice little character story for the Thing as like as a little mini series for himself.
Yeah,
What did you think?
indeed. The couple of little touches that I enjoyed about this issue was the fact that, like, okay, yeah, we finally got to see what what the deal was, even though we've been getting bits and pieces of it throughout the whole miniseries, and that's fine. But like I said, everything came down to, what's the deal was here, who's involved. Ben finally finds that out, like Agent 70 said. But the two nice little touches that kind of made me enjoy this issue was the fact that of where the issue mostly took place, and that is Yancey Street. To basically, some would say, gives Ben more power than his already vast amount of power being there and having and having the street being what it is and the folks being who they are on that street. But also, it's kind of a lesson had been learned that has kind of been brewing this whole time. That we kind of pretty much saw, because like there was the one issue a couple of issues back where the little girl that Ben was trying to protect was asking him all these questions about, well, why do you beat these people up? Are you a bully? And why are people angry? And when they're being a bully and this and that and other, that kind of comes back around in this issue, and we kind of get a little bit of that. And the little girl has a moment where she gets to say the things thing at that, and that was kind of cute. And the one last thing is that, of course, usually in the situations when there's a mystery or something to be solved, a lot of times it's like the first person you meet has some sort of big, or either the one that is the one that's mainly doing it or has some main involvement in it. And in this particular case, we found out that is actually true, because the first person that Ben pretty much ran into, who actually the one who had asked them for help in the first place, was a part of the whole situation, and that comes back around. So, yeah. Overall, a pretty great. Everything was pretty much tied together, with the exception of we don't know if the main big bad is going to come back and to roll up on Ben again for another story. That could very well be a loose end, or that just could be it, and just like going back to business as usual and any other stories that's happening around the universe. But we can see. That being said, though, yeah, there's the story as a whole, probably a good pickup for in trade. I'm not saying it wasn't good to read week to week or month to month, excuse me, but I think this will read pretty well in trade. It's a nice little tight story going on here. So, that being the case, we can get to the last book that Agent 70 and I have in common, which is cue soundbite here, Justice League Unlimited number 11.
Justice League Unlimited number 11 is written by Mark Waid, with art by Carmine Di Giandomenico. Colors are by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters are by Ariana Marr. So there are a lot of things going on. That's really the gist of this story.
Pretty much.
The Justice League is being pulled into a million different directions, right? Their concept of all hands on deck, everyone being a member of the Justice League, basically, is being put to the test. And there are multiple crises going on. Oh, that's not a joke, really, right? Because it is DC after all. There are multiple crises going on. Nope, it's the wrong drum bell. That's here we go. It's the wrong drum roll. That's the right one. Ba-dum-bum. Multiple crises going on for the Justice League to address. And what we find in I guess we're leading into an event,
Mhm.
right? That's where this issue kind of finishes off, where I was kind of disappointed to see that's where this was going, but I should not be surprised at all. So this is one of two big events that are about to kick off in the mainstream, comics world, and I'll get to one of the other ones, uh, in one of the other issues that we're going to talk about. So I'll hand it off to Roddykat with kind of like my just kind of meh feeling about this issue. It was nice to see Mr. Terrific kind of showing up and getting a little bit of shine, but I felt like it was just another chapter in a growing cycle of escalation that leads up to events, and that's how I interpreted this particular story.
Yeah, and as you said, you shouldn't be surprised by it because this book is the book that pretty much this is the Yggdrasil that all other branches fall from in this in this universe, if you want to use that analogy, because everything is pretty much coming off this book. It came into the book and coming out of this book. So there is that. So we have, and speaking of Mr. Terrific, we'll be talking a little bit more about him later on in the show. But we start off with him being beset by parademons. If you're watching the video version, you can see the banner at the bottom of the cover, and it's basically all hell breaks loose, and not kind of apt in for a couple of different ways. Like I said, we got the parademon. You got two different things, big things going on at the Watchtower at the same time that ended up coming together at the end, and also another situation in Markovia, which also is also playing into things, and probably all of which, if not the two different things, but definitely seems like all of it is absolutely positively rolling into the next DC event, which is DC K.O. So, I understand Agent 70's, not necessarily issue with this book, but how he feels about the book, because it is what it is. But at the same time, at this point, I'm kind of resigned to it, because knowing what this book is and seeing how this has been going so far, it's not that surprising anymore. We just have to see how this event's going to play out, because as we were reminded before the show, and this is not a knock or praise or anything, but this is a Scott Snyder event that is coming up next. So we'll see how that happens, how that works out. That being the case, though, that's it for all of the books that we have in common. Let's get into a little bit of rapid fire.
Alrighty, rapid fire review time, folks. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Alrighty, so first up for me is Absolute Wonder Woman number 12. It's written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jordie Bellaire, and letters by Becca Carey. As always, this is one of my favorite books to read. And what we get here is the finale of kind of a strange story arc, but it leads to an interesting development and it's not a cliffhanger ending to this story, but it's an interesting reveal at the end of the issue, right? And that is bound to lead us into different directions for this story, right? This has been a very untraditional Wonder Woman story. Obviously, it's an absolute universe book, so it's not going to be anywhere close to a traditional Wonder Woman story. But the direction that this origin story for Wonder Woman took was so different that to see elements of what might be a traditional Wonder Woman story show up, I think qualifies as a pretty, as just like a pretty cool development right at the end of the book. So It's definitely a candidate for Click of the Week for me. Very good stuff. Absolute Wonder Woman number 12. Next up is All New Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider number 2. It's written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Paolo Vianelli. Colors are by Matt Milla, and letters are by VC's Ariana Marr. I'm a sucker for this version of Gwen Stacy. I really love, what they're trying to do in pushing her as a lead character. Silk is proving to be a great character. I wish she was not a supporting character to Gwen, but at the same time, it's great to see her get some shine. So, we'll see how far or how long she stays a character in this book. But it's great to see Stephanie Phillips also using Silk as a maybe not a lead character, but at least as a prime supporting character. I think the biggest problem I have with this version of Spider-Gwen right now is that because the character is in the 616, how is Captain George Stacy alive and no one else is really reacting to this? And I know that there's some cosmic shenanigans going on. Like, how does Peter feel about this? I'm kind of, I'm still kind of, I'm what we play when we're getting a little bit too long, long in the tooth.
I'm a bit too old for this shit.
I'm like, wait a second. I'm not old enough to remember when that happened, to have read that when it was on the stands, but I grew up knowing about it, and now we're just sort of sweeping it away, Cosmic Cube style, literally. So we'll see how that's resolved. It's only issue number 2 of this series. I'm still having fun, so I'm going to keep up with it. Next up is Black Cat number 2 of 5. It's written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Gleb Melnikov, colors by Brian Reber, and letters by our favorite lettering Paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This is surprisingly a candidate for Click of the Week for me because it's just a quirky story, and 2, G. Willow Wilson has an writes an incredible line of dialogue for the Black Cat in this issue. It's so on point. It's so real that I found myself just in awe of the writing at that particular point in the story. So just for that, this is a candidate for Click of the Week for me this week. Next up is Daredevil number 25. It's written by Saladin Ahmed, pencils by Jose Luis Suarez, inks by Oren Jr., colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this is the finale of this volume of Daredevil. We don't know when Daredevil is going to show up next. We don't know when the next volume of Daredevil is going to happen. I hope that when it does happen, there is, something attention grabbing about the conceit of the story, the way the conceit of this volume started. I wish this volume had been able to hold on to people's and readers' attention the way it held on to mine for the first, half of the volume and the first, let's say, 2 arcs of the story. But, I appreciated it for what it was. This is the story of Matt Murdock being reincarnated basically as a Catholic priest. And what would happen as his old life as Daredevil would kind of creep back into, this new relatively ideal life, relatively speaking, right? So that's Daredevil number 25. Next up is Death of the Silver Surfer number 4 of 5. It's written by Greg Pak with pencils by Sumit Kumar and Tiago Palma, inks by Jonas Trindada and Sumit Kumar, and colors by Frank Darmada. Letters in this issue are by VC's Joe Sabino. I will say this: the allegory and metaphor are strong in this one. Right? In reference to or in relation to like real world events and real world happenings. right? The allegory and metaphor are strong in this one. It's a candidate for Click of the Week based on that alone. I'm curious to see what comes out of this series, if this is quote unquote the true death of the Silver Surfer or not. So we'll see where that goes in the last issue of the limited series, which is the next issue. Next up is Spider-Man and Wolverine number 5. It's written by Mark Guggenheim with art by Kara Andrews, colors by Brian Reber, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. This comic made my continuity nerd heart sing, because there's so much here that draws upon old continuity, bits and pieces that have gone through, like from the 80s to the 90s to the Dan Slott era of Spider-Man, and it's just a lot of fun. It's great to see. Like this is the buddy cop story that Deadpool and Wolverine always wishes it was. It's Spider-Man and Wolverine. And it's just this, really interesting team up duo that has evolved over time. And it obviously depends much upon who is writing it. So, it depends on that particular writer's interpretation of the relationship between these characters and where these characters are in their respective stories. But I like the interplay here. And, it's generally been a pretty fun read over these 5 issues. I don't know how long it's going to last. There's no indication that it's a limited series, so we'll see how long it lasts. Next up is Thor number 2. So Al Ewing is killing it when it comes to these Immortal series, right? This is technically subtitled The Mortal Thor, right? Like Mortal Thor. And the concept is that Asgard is cut off from Earth, and there's something amiss with Thor, and we're trying to work. He's basically trying to work things out, and obviously the concept is that Thor is mortal, at least right now in this comic. How long that lasts, we don't know. How long any of this lasts when it comes to this concept, we'll see how long Al Ewing has to play. But I'm enjoying it. It's really well written. Pasquale Ferry's art is killer. So I'm going to keep up with it. And, I hope you guys do too. Next and last for me is X-Men number 22. It's written by Jed McKay with art by C.F. Villa, colors by Fer Cifuentes Sudro, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So a few minutes ago, I had talked about kicking off an event. The DC K.O. event was kicked off basically in the pages of Justice League Unlimited. This month's issue of X-Men number 22, kicks off the Age of Revelation event. And we literally go right into, we wrap up a couple of dangling plot threads through, like, let's say, like the first 2/3 of the book. The last third of the book is watching us hurtle headlong into Age of Revelation. The concept of that cover that you see on the screen, if you are tuning in via YouTube or Twitch, you should definitely check us out that way. We'd love the people who check us out on the podcast format. This is our OG format. But if you check out the format on video, you'll be able to see the covers that Roddykat puts up. And what's depicted on the cover is it's metaphor, and what we have here in this issue is exactly what's depicted on the cover. And seeing how that is kind of the concept here of Age of Revelation, and we're going to see how I don't necessarily see how the Age of Revelation starts. Right? It's not the same idea as Age of Apocalypse, where there is like an inciting event that leads us down this path. we'll see where this alpha issue. I believe it's an alpha issue that's going to show us how we get there. But we're going right into Age of Revelation as of X-Men number 22, and that's it for me. Take it away.
Alrighty. First up for me, we have Void Rivals number 23. Excuse me. Written by Robert Kirkman, art by Connor Hughes, colors by Patricio Delpeche, and letters by Russ Wooton. So we get a little bit with our Skuxoid friend who gets as I say in my notes, an unwanted lesson in division. Meanwhile, that whole unity thing that's been happening, that's going on Agoria, basically unleashes a thing that some folks were trying to avoid happening, which leads to not necessarily a crisis of faith, but basically it was like, oh wait, the person who sent me on this whole quest lied to me, and lied to us rather, because there's a couple of people who had gotten word from this person, or excuse me, from this Cybertronian, and the Cybertronian basically feeling what's going on was like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be, and ends up calling Solilla, who was the herald that she had sent out, back to home. Apparently, Derek's dad, who's the prime minister of Agoria, might have been right in the assertion that unity was going to be a bad thing for them. But this is all seemingly leading into the Quintesson War, potentially. And speaking of the Quintessons, the Cobra Law contingents have landed on Quintessa and run into a little trouble. But they also run into a certain Cybertronian who is known for rhyming. And if you know your Transformers history, you know who that is. So to what end will that be? Don't know, but they don't necessarily hit it off right off the bat, let's just say. Or let's just say the Cobra Law contingent doesn't necessarily, especially with Pythona at the head, doesn't necessarily take too kindly to it, despite the fact that the Cybertronian helped them out. But yeah, so yeah, this is all leading to something outside of, assuming whatever's going to come to head is come to head. I believe that they said as much in issue 25 of Void Rivals. So, and that seems to be still seems to be the case so far. Next up, we have sorry, I gotta set this up and causing myself some issue here, but
Tally ho! Wings of silver, birds of steel.
Silverhawks number 8 is my next book.
Oh, okay. I was about to say you were muted for a hot second, or at least the audio dropped.
Oh, interesting. Written by Ed Brisson. There's been something's going on lately. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, written by Ed Brisson, art by George Cambadias, colors by George Cambadias, and letters by Jeff Eckleberry. So we got a recap of all the recent destruction going on in the galaxy that has to do with a new group that is going after Monstar. This group is called the Remnant, or I believe this person is called the Remnant. One of the two, probably both. Stargazer is pretty much the one kind of telling the Silverhawks this, and Bluecrest, having some tie to one of Monstar's crew, is kind of worried about the wrong thing in that, because of the history that they have with him. And Stillwell, who pretty much has no chill, was like, man, you should be happy. Which of course, doesn't go over too well. But nevertheless, the crew ends up getting their mission kind of thrust upon them, as Monstar, in retaliation to everything that's going on, decides to do a plan that's not necessarily Death Star-like, but kind of sort of Death Star-like in its implementation, sorta. planets don't get destroyed, but let's just say life on planet does. So in a similar way. So this causes the Silverhawks to kind of put a plan that was brought to them by this prince whose name is that they've met recently, whose name is Arkezi, and who came with a plan to kind of stop Monstar for for not necessarily once and for all, but keep him out of play for a while. But it's a very risky plan that will definitely put the Silverhawks in play. But what we also find out at the end of this is that well, there is a swerve that one of the Hawks finds out about while the plan is getting enacted, that might put them in jeopardy. You know, let's just say we shall see. But we also get a nice little prep talk with one of the old crew of the old Silverhawks and Stargazer, who might seem to have a little thing together before the mission goes off. So yeah, the things are starting to pick up here. Not necessarily start to pick up because they've been doing things, but it's just that yeah, this is a big thing could be potentially happening here. Next up, I do not have a nice little sound bite for this one, but maybe later on I'll come up with something. Who knows? Street Sharks #1, written by Stephanie Williams, art by Ariel Medel, colors by Valentina Pinto, color assistance by Jonathan Dobbs, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So yeah, a very busy week for Mr. Eckelberry this week. So yeah, Street Sharks. If that name just sends shivers down your vintage mind for some of you younger folks than Agent 70 and I, then I guess congratulations for that. This yet another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles knockoff. That's what I call them because they came later on, and this book does nothing to defeat the allegations of that. I don't really have the affinity of it. I know of the Street Sharks, but I don't think I've ever actually watched an episode of the show. This issue kind of does a little bit of a legwork by giving little bits and pieces of backstory while the story is going on. But we just find them in action here in Vision City, and we find out about the bad guys, the group of the bad guys' name, and the head bad guy. They have their own April O'Neil, but this particular, April O'Neil is not necessarily on the side of the Sharks, unless they are in the universe and not there yet. I don't know. But we also, get to see the boys as men in or people in the chair, as it were. We meet them, and their bad guy, the person that their bad guy and the group they have some things that's going on, and it has something to do with some sort of mutagen, that same mutagen that made them Street Sharks in the first place. So, yeah, go figure. Also, apparently they can actually swim through concrete. I'm assuming that was a thing here in the cartoon, but that's just crazy. But apparently they can. And of course, like I said, you can kind of get their four little archetypes that seem kind of familiar if you know about them. Except for there's no real, as far as we could tell, there's the leader type, there's the reckless one. There's not necessarily a Donatello of the group per se, but there's one that's kind of close. But the other two turtles kind of have a slight closer comparisons to these guys and all. So yeah, that's Street Sharks #1. Catch it. I don't know. So it's a weird one. But I will say that you get some calling of attacks. There's a lot of shark and shark this and jawsome, that kind of language going on in this. And also a Bane move by one of the sharks in dealing with one of the bad guys, but that's okay. They're also mutants, so they can handle it. So this is a funny one. What's that? Some backs get broken. Yeah. Oh yeah, a back gets broken, or at the very least cracked. But like I said, it's a mutant, so I'm sure they're fine. But it definitely does happen. Not the only time that happens this week in a book that we'll be talking about. But the next book that I haven't talked about, which actually not a thing, I think you said you skimmed that book, but you didn't have any in your thing. So anyway, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, The Sword of Flaws, #1 of 4. And cue He-Man. Script by Tim Seeley, art by Freddie E. Williams II, because of course that's what you're going to get for these books. Who's going to get for these books? Color artist Andrew Dahlhaus, and letters by And World Design. So there's this visiting prince who apparently has some tie to one of Skeletor's allies, by the name of King Hiss, I guess. Is visiting Adam and pretty much telling him about himself. In this version of the story, not everyone knows that Adam is He-Man, and I say that because any other Masters of the Universe books that have happened in recent history, pretty much everybody knows at this point, because that secret kind of came out. So they kind of sort of backtrack in that. I presume the people that you know that knew from the cartoon knows in this particular story, but not like, say, Tila, you know, and Adam's parents, who I don't think shows up in this, but they do mention them. But like I said, yeah, we got a little He-Man story where Adam seems to be tired of having to be Adam. It kind of comes across the way, because he's like, well, I gotta go be a doofus again. As he's mentally talking to the sorcerers, as you know, of course, Skeletor attacks as he's talking to this prince, who's like, yeah, you got all this and you got all this, and you got He-Man protecting you, all that, but you're weak because of this, that, and the other, and whatnot. And then, of course, Skeletor attacks the Gray Skull, where they just happen to be near as they're floating through, and everybody goes into action. And of course, at some point, He-Man kind of comes into things, and things happen. But got a nice little swerve here with the said prince that was talking all this shit, you know, doing the thing, but he ends up getting a lesson, because he gets stopped in what he was trying to do. Skeletor gets foiled, of course, for the time being, but from that, Triclops is kind of having fits after his run-in with Man-at-Arms, and then a discovery is made by some of He-Man's allies because of a thing, actually because of the title of the title of the book, if that is to give it away. So that is the discovery that happens at the end of this book. Where this will go, yes, we'll find out. This is as I said, this is number 1 of 4, so that's what we got to play with in this one. Next up, we have the New History of DC Universe #3 of 4, written by Mark Waid, pencils by Dan Jurgens and Doug Mahnke, inks by Norm Rapman and Dor Mahnke, colors by John Calitz and David Barron, and letters by Todd Klein. So yes, this continues the running down of DC history, beat by beat by beat, with no real digging into what happens. They're just like, you know what? Hey, I died, and Wally West took my place, and this person came up, and that person came up, and this group came up, and this thing, and this event happened, and this other event happened, and 2 or 3 other crises happened, and the events and whatnot. And as Agent 70 said before the show, yeah, we kind of this issue pretty much went a lengthy ways. So it went from the end of the first crisis to, where did it end? I forgot. It was like after 52, where we landed. Actually, I think I have that in my notes. Oh yeah. So yeah, after 52, Batman dying and Barry coming back from quote unquote death, which I'm going to assume is going to lead the Flashpoint to the next issue. You know, at some point during next issue, because it's the only other issue left. And as Agent 70 said, because Agent 70 said before, we were talking before the show about this, like, yeah, this kind of led to some curiosity in going back and reading, or at least finding out some of these events and stories and things that happen in here. You know, will it be during getting our hands on, you know, in to the DC equivalent of Marvel Unlimited. Who's to say? DC, if you're listening, you want to give us a hand with that? We appreciate it, but I know you don't hear this. We also get a little bit with Milestone in the Dakotaverse, because that gets brought up here. Like Young Justice, JLA, Tower of Babel, beats by beats. Peacemaker and Suicide Squad also get mentioned here, and a few other things that I didn't know anything about. Of course, Killing Joke, and the killing of Jason Todd. Also, hey, this is DC history, so you can call it a spoiler if you want to, but it's not. It's just going through the beats, folks. But yeah, a lot of things get check marked off in the course of this issue. So if you are interested in checking that out, it's out there for you. And speaking of DC, we have Mr. Terrific, year 1 of 5 of 6. Script by Al Letson, art by Valentine Delandro, colors by Marisa Louise, art and colors by Edwin Gallman, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. So, I figured that was going to happen. Whatever. All right. Excuse me. So yeah, things are still going on in the present with that whole Netherlight situation, and starts giving away to the past flashback part of the book, but not before possibly introducing, I want to call him Bizarro Mr. Terrific, but it is definitely a Mr. Terrific-like being happens to pop up. But the difference is one, they're a younger kid, and they have squares, almost like mother boxes, and they have a big F on their thing as opposed to a T. So, I'm presuming this is going to be a new character in the universe, because we only got one more issue left of this. So we'll see what happens with that. But in the past, Mike's basically kind of coming into his on the superhero front. You see him start making his trademark T-spheres properly, while the bad guy Athena Prescott is trying to kind of get things going on her end because of what she's trying to get off the ground. And Mr. Terrific is using all of his resources to try to stop that, including some help from one Bruce Wayne and some other folks. And all the money that he have is probably going to get used up from all of this for what he's doing, because the fact that money was mentioned a few different times in the course of this issue was a thing. I was like, yeah, clearly this is leading somewhere. But also, Black Lightning stops in. If you're watching the video version, you can see that he's on the cover, so that's not a spoiler, because they knew each other back then when he was first starting, and they kind of had a little something in between them, but they still kind of stayed kind of in touch. Some things get hashed out between them in the past as they team up to go against, the Athena Prescott and what she's doing at the end of after Black Lightning get caught up. I say here that Mike throws a Pokeball at somebody, but it's just one of his T-spheres. So there you go. No. And last but not least, so folks, if you
mean they're not T-circles? No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, it's very much. Near the end of this issue, one Michael Holt, aka Mr. Terrific, says a thing that, let's just say, you might have heard and have seen repeated from the Superman movie. That
is he goddamn Mr. Terrific?
Yep, absolutely says it. Pretty much says it almost just like that, actually. So I was like, okay. I had to giggle at that because I was like, you know what? And nothing else I can't be mad at it, because you kind of figured something like that was going to happen, right? And it surely did. So I had to kind of giggle about that just a little bit, even though it also kind of made me groan at the same time. So, but anyways, that, folks, I believe is it. Yep, that is it for my books. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
You got your Kliqs? or you got your
I
potentials?
have a
should say?
lot of I have a lot of candidates because I read a lot this week. I had a
Mhm.
few things that jumped out at me, but I think I'm gonna make a call right now.
Oh, okay.
Because I definitely have up there Thor #2, Absolute Wonder Woman #12, but topping them all this week in a big surprise, I just really like the writing in this issue. It was Black Cat #2 of 5, just because of a particular line. And I'll tell after the show, I'll tell Roddykat what the particular line was, and I was like, oh, damn, that's really good.
You
So
probably don't have to because I'm gonna read it because I just didn't get around to it. Plus, I love I like G. Willow was writing, so I'm not surprised that she threw something in there that's pretty sweet. So
yeah,
I would definitely be checking that out. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover right there of Black Cat, which is Black Cat #2 of 5, which is pretty cool.
yeah, Adam Hughes doing his Adam Hughes thing.
Pretty much. So actually, from here, it looks like they just superimposed somebody's cosplay over on top of the rest of it. But that's just how it looks to me right now in the thing. But for myself, you know what? It probably would have been similar if I had a chance to read Black Cat. But who's to say? But my potentials are Ultimate Spider-Man #21. Honestly, Mr. Terrific, Year 1 #5 because of that line. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I did it again. I am so sorry, folks. I absolutely skipped over a book that I did not get a chance to get to. I mean, that I did read and I skipped right over it. And I hate when I do that because I've done this one too many times in the last few weeks. And actually, I see a reason why that happened too. So, I tell you what, bear with me a moment. While I thought I had all of the damned. Shoot, I thought I had all of the books. I mean, all of the comic book covers and.
Oh, you mean I actually did not read more books than you did this week? We actually read the same number of books?
Roughly, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's one of the few times, that I find myself reading more books than Roddykat. It's rare.
Yeah, and actually, a couple of them read. I read while waiting for you, so so technically, you would have, if that wasn't the case. Okay, so you are very much making this absolutely hard for me to get this.
Not me specifically, but
Not
something
you.
is
No.
going
I'm
on.
talking
Exactly.
to you. Yeah,
Something's going on Roddycat's end that is making this more difficult than it should be.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this image, and it's not working with me here. So, and I hate the fact that I'm going to have to do some editing, more editing.
It's
than I
not
know I'm gonna have to do.
cooperating.
Let's see. And that's not even the ding dang. Actually, hold on. You know what? I'm about to do something real dumb here. I should have done this in the first place. I'm upset with myself for not doing it. But All right, folks. Here we go. We're gonna do a little bit of this. There we go. Star Trek: The Last Starship #1.
I was wondering about that. I thought you were good. I thought that was a short thing for you to have read.
Oh no, I absolutely read it. But I skipped over it when I was just doing my rapid fire, so because I wasn't paying attention. But so yeah, there is that, and that is written by excuse me, Former guests of the show, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Colors, art by Adrienne Bonella. Colors by Heather Moore. And letters by Clayton Cowles. So, yeah, folks. We cut to the future of Star Trek. Let's say where, if you're watching Star Trek Discovery is right now, let's just say a little around there, probably before then. I'm not up on Discovery, but I know about the event that gets brought up here. So we see the beginnings of what is called the burn. And in that, basically all the starships that are powered by dilithium go crazy and blow up, which basically takes out a good clump of Starfleet. Like say 90, I believe the number is 94, 96% loss. There's a few ships that are left and a few captains that are left, and Starfleet's kind of on its back foot at this point. One captain that we are following, who just so happens to be named after a notable legacy character in the Star Trek universe, and that name is Sato. So if you know that name, you know one or two or a number of people that is referring to. Has an idea. Well, not necessarily has an idea, but basically is the head of this. And like I said, we see the burn start from where they were at the time. Like I said, Starfleet's on the back foot, but they get a little bit of initially unwanted help by a Borg contingent. If you've watched Star Trek Picard season 3, you know very well who it is. Let's just say, who ends up being Borgified at the end of that. And that character comes back here. We get a couple of name drops for different starships. Of course, the Enterprise being one, the Theseus, which Jackson and Lansing wrote, and finished previously with their run on Star Trek books. Trent Reznor apparently got a ship. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's some notable names that get name dropped in this book. Let's see, and of course this character. So they have to basically to try to figure out what's going on and try to do something about it. They get, like I said, they get some Borg help with some technology that's been outlawed, and apparently the Borg hadn't been seen in 500 years. So the fact that one just happens to come dropping in on them to want to help is kind of skeptical. A new ship is built out of old tech, and named. We see part of the crew that is manning the ship, who was a part of Captain Sato's old crew, who just happened to escape things because of somebody doing what they did. But also there is other things going on, like hey, if you remember what happened in Jackson and Lansing and Kelly's Star Trek book, and the event they're in, one of the events they're in, there's a little bit of that mixed in, because there's a path and there's another path, and and another Klingon thing coming to back. There's also mentions of Bajoran light ships, which always tickles my heart. And speeches galore in this, because you can't have a Star Trek captain not doing a speech or two in a Star Trek book. So yeah, if any of that. Oh, and of course the Borg that comes aboard. Let's just say reincarnates a former captain, not one that she was associated with in said show that I mentioned that this character is from, but from a character that you would not have expected her to be to bring back, but it's the one that you would probably expect to come back, and that is how that person comes back into this universe, because that person's been dead for eons since this book. Since the movie that person left out on, let's just say. So we'll get into more of that in the next issue. But yeah, this is pretty much all that happens there. It's still worth a read. It sounds like I might have spoiled everything, but no, if any of that interests you and you want to see a little bit more of what happens into this, because there's actually more that I did not say, you should definitely check out Star Trek The Last Starship #1. And with that, we'll cut back to part 2 of the Kliqs of the week, which I will say that Star Trek: The Last Starship is one of them. Is one of my potential Kliqs. Also, Void Rivals number 23 for what happens there. And I think, what was that? Was that it? Because I don't necessarily, yeah, that's it. Mr. Terrific, Void Rivals. The thing number 5 was also pretty cute. Actually, I don't think that's gonna make it. Oh, and there's the thing right there. How about that? I did actually have it. What the hell? Oh no, that's the one I just downloaded. Anyway, Justice League probably could go in there, but yeah, I don't know. So that being said, though, my actual Kliq of the week is actually between Mr. Terrific and Star Trek. And like I said, it's Mr. Terrific for that one little line that character should not have said when it said it, even but it is what it is. But I think now that I've talked about that book as much as it did, I'm actually going to, and with all the time that I just spent doing what I just did, I'm going to go with Star Trek: The Last Starship, number 1 for my Kliq of the week. After saying all of that. So, with that, folks, we have done our books. We are going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read, of which I totally forgot to ask Agent 70 about.
It's all right. Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
We start off with cinematic news, but also some terrible news. And you'll understand when I say it. An AI Stan Lee hologram will speak with fans at LA Comic-Con.
What?
Exactly.
Is this what you were referring to? The news coming out of?
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
This is exactly what I'm telling you about. So yeah, apparently, I was going to say don't do this. Please don't do this. But being that LA Comic Con is happening this weekend as we record, it's already happening, folks. But yeah, so according to this article, yeah, and you can, if you're watching the video version, you can see the thing they're doing there. But apparently, let's see, fans will be able to speak with the hologram at the Stan Lee Experience section of the con, a 1,500 square foot enclosed booth, which costs between $15 and $20 to enter, depending on whether you buy tickets ahead of time. And according to this article, and like meeting a celebrity or getting autographs, there will be paid opportunities to take photos with the hologram or have a 3-minute one-on-one conversation with it. Yes.
That's terrible, man. Your mother brought you up wrong. That's what it is.
Here's a quote here from, let's see, "We'll never put words in his mouth that aren't in line with things he spoke about in his lifetime," says Bob Sabuni, head of Stan Lee Legacy Programs for Cartoon Studios and a former Marvel executive. Fortunately, with decades of footage Well, what happened there? Oh, fortunately, with decades of footage capturing his thoughts on so many subjects, we can build a voice that stays true, not always word for word, but always faithful in spirit, context, and intent. So the you know what? I'm not even going to go into where the hologram comes from. Don't do this. Exactly. Apparently, according to organizers, the Lee hologram may also pop up in different parts of the convention as a surprise, perhaps to introduce a top-tiered panel or two.
What the?
This is so sad. This is so stupid.
The world is taking a turn for the surreal.
Yeah, I would hope that his I know didn't he have like a daughter or two or something? I would hope they would have had something to say don't do this or something. Actually, I don't even know if it. Let's see. No,
I've got a bunch of sound bites that characterize how I feel about this.
What the hell's going on out here?
So apparently in 2016, Lee spoke to the Hollywood Reporter because of course they had to get because this is where this article's coming from. Lee spoke to the Hollywood Reporter about LA Comic-Con, which at the time was undergoing a name change, and the quote is, "Los Angeles is to me the center of the world's entertainment. It has to have a Comic-Con," he said. And the convention is from September 26th to the 28th, as this article says. Yeah. If you got another one, hit it.
Let's see.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
It was awful. Get him away.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, moving right along.
Marvin Jones III is set to play crime boss Tombstone in Spider-Man Brand New Day. And to be perfectly honest, when I saw this news, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? That works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. This actor has already portrayed Tombstone in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse using his voice. So, that works as well. So, this is pretty strong casting.
And not only that, but well, for those of us who watched Black Lightning, he also played Tobias Well. So who is Black, the adversary to Black Lightning. And I saw somebody on Twitter when they saw this, it was like, so we can look forward to Tombstone calling Spider-Man everything but a child of God, because that's pretty much what he did throughout the whole of Black Lightning. And that just kind of tickled me to no end to say that, because he had some words for that. So you know what? Hey, good on him. Good on him. Next up, though. Oops. X-Men's Evan Peters on Quicksilver's return with Magneto. So apparently this was from a recent interview with comicbook.com. Evan Peters played Quicksilver. Wait, I'm sorry. This article from, I'm not even going to say who it's from, but you can see it if you're watching the video version. Peters, who first portrayed Peter Maximoff. That was not his name. That was not how his name was looked. What are you doing? Anyway, but yeah, he played Quicksilver and Days of Future Past and revised the world. Some of that. So he basically said, looks like he was asked if fan theories about his comeback were exhausting. He was like, no, he's actually curious. He was reflecting on his time as Quicksilver. And he said that, yeah, anything really. I had such a blast playing that character, and you got to dive a little bit into his home life, as weird as it was. But yeah, sort of exploring that would be more interesting. And the relationship with Magneto would be cool. Would be pretty cool. So, yeah, I don't know. Knock on wood, he says in this quote, noting his interest on coming back. So yeah, and it also talks about when he came back for WandaVision also. So, yeah, who's to say if that'll happen? Next up.
So in some big news this week, The Mandalorian and Grogu are back in the first trailer for their Star Wars movie. So I'm not going to go through the news story, other than to say that this came out on Monday, revealing more about the movie story and gave us a new look at new and returning characters from the Star Wars galaxy. Yeah, What did you think?
Honestly, I have not watched it yet.
Really?
Yeah, shocker. Because I did see this, and I was like, all right, I'm going to need to go ahead and watch it. And I absolutely, positively just, because things have been going on lately, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. So I have no idea how this looks.
Interesting.
Yeah. I saw something about
I watched it.
Grogu swimming, so I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it. It was good. It was good. I mean, listen, it's just nice to see. I interpreted it as we're trying to be convinced to stay to not cancel our subscriptions.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's one way to put it. So sure, why not? I mean, and more lone man Mando and child is not a terrible thing, right?
That's
right.
funny.
So, and in passing, you got to get a little bit of that in whenever we're talking about the Mandalorian. Next up, though, one weird Peacemaker moment was way deeper DC Comics cut than it seemed, apparently. So remember last week when we were talking about that wildly appropriating dance that Michael Rooker's character did in episode 4, season 2, episode 4 of Peacemaker? Apparently that may or may not have some meaning, potentially, or at least that's what some people are theorizing. So, his character, Red Saint Wild, performed a ritual, tapped in some magical energies in order to track down Peacemaker's pet, Eagle Eagly. And there is a theory that is suggesting that that character was tapping into the red, as in his namesake. And if you know anything about DC lore, then there's a color that's mystical for everything, and the red is just one of them. So, and the theory is that the red may have been introduced into the DCU through that act. So, is that actually the case? Maybe. I don't know, but we don't have actual confirmation of that. But also I don't recall there being much red energy, being tapped. But hey, it is what it is. Next up,
James Gunn hints that more Charlton Comics characters will join Peacemaker and Judo Master in the DCU. Apparently, with regard to that, you might be in luck. So, the Charlton Comics characters include Peacemaker, Judo Master, Blue Beetle, Nightshade, Captain Atom, and more of them might be coming to the DCU. Yeah, you know what? I never knew them as Charlton characters. Obviously, I only learned about that, as I got older and realized that some of these characters had been ported over, as it were. So, I kind of figured, that's what helps DC, with their kind of lack of, I hate to say this, like, creatively named characters. So,
yeah. Also, every time you say ported over, it makes me think of video game stuff, and I was like, oh,
that's what I'm getting. That's where I'm getting the terminology from.
Okay, so I am actually proud of you then for that.
I mean, there's nothing to be proud of. I'm looking for the right term,
Yeah, but I mean, there's other terms you could have used outside of that one, but like I said,
right, that's what I'm searching for. My brain is a little fried today, so.
So, like I said, I appreciate
I'm
it.
Constantly searching for it. I'm gonna look up synonyms for port over now.
Nah, you ain't got to. Like I said, I'm I am proud and happy. So take the compliment, man. Jeez. Anyway, after Paramount's interest, Netflix looks to buy Warner Brothers. Apparently, according to this article, also according to this article's title, in a move that would change the industry forever. We don't know if that's actually the case. But so yeah, after the rumblings of Paramount wanting to, so here's my thought about this. I'm not gonna go too far into this, but it sounds like Netflix is looking to maybe possibly buy Warner Brothers, and if that is the case, interesting. I have a theory as to why Paramount was involved in it outside of what we talked about last week, and it might have had something to do with stoking interests from other players, but that's just me thinking that, and I have nothing to base that off of. Netflix buying Warner Brothers will be weird, but also wild. I was about to say, can't be in any worse hands, but that's not true at all. So, things can always get worse. But if there is interest, and if there is a bid that gets put out there from Netflix, we shall see if it shakes out, if anything out of it comes of it at all. Next up,
the only Star Trek show to be canceled twice made one Trek legend famous. Furious, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misread that.
Is that all right?
I'm tired, it's late. Let's see. So that upset one veteran Star Trek actor, and they are not afraid to let their feelings be known about it. Kate Mulgrew played Captain Catherine Janeway on Star Trek Voyager from 1995 to 2001, and then reprised the role for Star Trek's animated series Star Trek Prodigy. However, Prodigy only got one season on Paramount Plus, which was released in a very fractured way. And then season 2 was canceled by Netflix, and it ended up releasing all 20 episodes in binge format last summer. But then, like I said, Netflix ultimately canceled it a second time. So during a recent appearance at a convention in New Jersey, Kate Mulgrew directly addressed her disappointment and frustration with how Netflix ended things with Star Trek Prodigy. So, she's just bad.
Yeah, she's not actually not the only one, because there are fans of that show who really didn't like the fact that, one, it got canceled in the first place and didn't get canceled again after when it was on Netflix. So apparently that show had a good bit of fans to it. I had never seen it, so I don't know. But then again, there's also a fan for everything, so it's not surprising people are going to get mad when something's canceled, even if it runs for like 30 years. I'm sure that's. I was about to say, I'm sure that's going to happen with Walking Dead, but I don't know if it just slowly went into that good night or still going on. I don't know. Regardless, hey, it is what it is. Marina Sirtis open to Troy return and doubts another full TNG reunion. So I believe she was at some. I don't know if she was at the same convention or something else. She was asked, I guess, on Instagram whether she would go back to Star Trek, and let's see. She says that I think that the opportunity was missed at the end of Picard. If we were going to continue with TNG, full stop there. Sorry, that was just me going on. I think that would have been the opportunity to do that, but obviously that didn't happen. So the chances of us all getting together again, I think, are pretty 0 to none. And it goes into the fact that Terry Matalas was trying to develop a follow-up series that had 7 of 9 in it. That possibly could have had some of them come back for here and there for, but yeah, she's basically says she's open if it was something meaningful for it, but she doesn't think it's going to happen. So. Yeah. Next up.
Brandon Braga says Star Trek TV should return to longer seasons instead of short Tinder relationships. Okay. Let's see. What does this person say? Who is Brandon Braga? So apparently, no one has written more Star Trek than Brandon Braga, who began his Hollywood career as an intern for Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1990 and stuck with the franchise for the next decade and a half. He has writing credits on over 100 Star Trek episodes and 2 feature films. Okay. So he rose to showrunner for Star Trek Voyager and later became co-creator and showrunner of Star Trek Enterprise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his, that's his opinion. That the show should return, that the characters and the concept should return to longer seasons.
But also one that I've also said on this show on a couple of different times. So he's not the only one who has that, who's had that opinion. But yeah, next up, excuse me. So you can now watch the entire The Center Seat Star Trek docuseries streaming live online on probably YouTube. The series was produced by the Nacelle company, known for the toys that made us, the movies that made us. Y'all know these folks. Nacelle CEO Brian Volk Weiss is a true fan, as evidenced by the company's new line of Star Trek action figures. In a 2021 interview with this site, Volk Weiss, who directed The Center Seat, described the docuseries as by a Trekkie for a Trekkie. He's had a lot of expert help, including executive producer Matt Altman and some other folks. That's somebody in another podcast. But yeah, The Center Seat is narrated by Gates McFadden, who played Beverly Crusher on TNG, and features new interviews and luminaries from across the franchise in front of and behind the camera, as well as Star Trek experts and historians. So I remember seeing a part of this because it was on one of those streaming services, but it was like the first 3 episodes, but the next 6 you had to like log in or pay or something like that. So I was like, well, guess I won't be watching this anytime soon. But now you can watch all the 11 episodes free on YouTube. So have at it, folks. Yeah, here we go. The first episode aired on the History Channel, and the final half streamed on History Vault. That's what it was. I remember that. So anyway, like I said, if you're interested in that, you can go check it out on YouTube. Next up.
Alrighty, in sad news, Ron Friedman, Transformers and G.I. Joe, a real American hero writer, died this past week at 93. So he died September 15th. He was 93. He was a writer on several television shows that we're all familiar with, like The Andy Griffith Show, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island, The Odd Couple, and Happy Days. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. But most notably known as the writer who killed Optimus Prime in the Transformers the movie.
Dang.
As if you're watching the video version, you can see the page talking about that after he passed from the Transformers fan site. So yeah, and apparently, so wait a minute, hold on. So according to this, let's see, yeah, Transformers the movie penned a biography with the title. If you're watching the video version, you can see the title for yourself. I Killed Optimus Prime, how one man... I don't know if this is true. This can't be true. This can't possibly be true. But I have to look it up. But according to this, it says, I Killed Optimus Prime, how one man single-handedly destroyed the world's most iconic Transformer and lived to tell the tale. Like I said, this doesn't look like it's true. There's no way in the world. If it is, that's some funny stuff. That's some funny shit. But yeah, the man was 93 as well. So I was going to ask him like, how did he die? But it says here that he died from cardiopulmonary arrest at the Motion Picture and Television Fund in Woodland Hills. Again, Mance was 93, and he passed away September 15th. So till all are one. I don't know what to say about that, but rest in peace. Next up.
Demon Slayer Infinity Castle becomes the biggest anime movie ever with $555 million. So let's see, is that let's see. I gotta scroll through this to get to the point because this is that's the global gross for the movie. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's $500 million, folks. $555 million. Have you gone to see this movie yet,
No, not yet.
Roddykat?
I have not.
Damn.
The
I'm
funny
thinking
part
of
about
watching it a second time.
So, as you say that, I was watching somebody stream actually earlier today who said they seen it 5 times, and I believe them, and probably might be going
Of
back for a
course.
6th.
Listen, it's a lot. It's a lot of time to spend. It's a lot of time to spend in the movie theater, but it's worth it. And it's like I said, it's kind of a matter of, like, you know, budgeting the time, because once I've budgeted the time and the time is sunk, I'm gonna sit and watch it. But listen, this is a great movie. I'm actually looking forward to watching it again before it hits Crunchyroll.
Right. So, but yeah. No surprise that thing made bank. And by the way, that takes us firmly into Anime Corner. If that wasn't if that didn't tell you anything.
There you go.
And with that, actually, you know what? Hit me off with a soundbite and do this next one.
All right. Let's see. Anime Corner. Alrighty. K-pop Demon Hunters creator Maggie Kang names her favorite character and reveals how she injected Korean culture into the Netflix hit at Busan. We're all excited for the possibilities of more stories. Netflix hit the jackpot with this. Sony didn't believe in it, and now Netflix has got this particular IP in its wings. So let's see. I'm kind of curious to see. While delivering a masterclass at the Netflix Creative Asia Conference during the Busan International Film Festival, Maggie Kang had a couple things to say. So let's see here. I'm scrolling through. She's looking for ways to portray Koreans and Korean culture on, in movies, and once the missing element for her concepts turned out to be K-pop and K-pop music, the movie instantly became larger in scale. It became a musical, and it's just more spectacle. So I'm looking for some of what's teased up front. Looking for her favorite character because I'm curious. Let's see. Scrolling. This is a long
article, yes.
article. So I'm scrolling, I'm skimming. Oh man. Hold on. I can't find the part where she talks about her favorite character. Scrolling. Oh, there we go. So, her personal favorite character is Mira, who's really one of the coolest characters, and she's got a great line. She's the one that has the line about having a fit check, and let's say it's an often quoted line in I guess TikToks, and I'm not on TikTok, but I'm assuming that it's the same as Instagram stories and reels. So
yeah, pretty much. Some would argue, yeah, TikTok is where Instagram got that from, basically. But
right, but it's the same thing.
Yes.
I'm just not a TikTok person. I'm not a TikTok user, so
right. So yeah, there you go, folks. Next up, Digimon BEATBREAK anime previews Mad Kid opening song and new trailer. It is attached to this article, so you can check it out for yourself there. And of course, the latest Digimon series is going to premiere on October 5th in Japan. And because this is a Crunchyroll article, probably going to end up on Crunchyroll like the day after that, I suspect. You know, not hard to see that. Next up.
Kaiju number 8, season 2 anime reveals new combat-themed character visuals. So yeah, I watched episode 22, and it was a really good episode, and I definitely appreciated that this was just revealed. And the concept here is that, mild spoilers for Kaiju number 8, right? Where humanity is fighting back against kaiju in a relatively novel way, using defeated kaiju's skills and weaponry back at, and pointing them back at them, basically. That's, mild spoilers, but doesn't exactly describe what's happening here. At the end of the day, I think that's a pretty, novel concept, and it's pretty fun. I really enjoyed episode 22, and it's a good translation of the anime, of the manga, that is, into anime. It's a pretty fun story.
Cool. New Fist of the North Star anime tags Jaggy in a new character trailer. Excuse me. Let's see. So, as previously announced, voice actor Wataru Tagaki will be stepping into the role of Jaggy, Kenshiro's adopted brother and rival, in the new Fist of the North Star anime. Today, we get our first sample of Tagaki, in the new role, sprouting some iconic lines from the character. So, there's a trailer here, and also a poster that you can check out right there. I suppose you are already dead was probably going to be one of the lines. I don't know, because I did not get a chance to check this out. But yeah, if you're interested in that, check it out. Next up.
All right, we're moving on into, I guess, comic book news.
Yes, we are.
An iconic pulp hero is reimagined in Phantom 2040, A New Shadow. We're transitioning over here. So, exclusive to the Comics Kingdom digital platform, we're getting a new chapter, a new webcomic series called Phantom 2040, A New Shadow. It's now live on the Comics Kingdom platform, and we have in this IGN article an exclusive look at it. It's going to run 20 chapters in all, with new chapters released weekly on Comics Kingdom.
Yeah, apparently it's co-written by Alex Segura and Marco Morrissey, who's been quite busy lately and seemingly has found their niche. I say that because of the stuff they're doing. With art by Jaron Amor and editing by Alex Garcia of I Like Popeye. So cool. And then it goes to the official tagline, which I will not, but hey, cool stuff.
Yeah, I was scrolling through, and I apologize for skipping the creative team on this because I was looking for a price.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I don't know if it's like Webtoons. I don't know if there is a price. I think you just sign up and actually, I don't know.
Right, like I said, I was literally looking for a price, and I skipped over the creative team, so I apologize.
No, it's all good. Because actually, there's some I'm just noticing. Oh wait, is this where all of the This is where all of those like newspaper strips and whatnot went to, I think. I might be wrong about that. Either way, yeah, I'll have to go back and check that site out. But yeah, next up, Diamond Comics Distributors changed their name to DCD2 and changed its bank. Anyway. So yeah, the Diamond Comics Distributors, the business bought at auction by Sparkle Pop ad Populium, as opposed to Diamond Comics Distributor Inc., the debtors of Chapter 11 bankruptcy case, is now going by the name Diamond Comics Distributors 2, LLC, or DCD2, in correspondence with other businesses. According to this article, so maybe the site will start using it as well, but it goes into some other stuff about that, which I won't get into because it looks like it's a lot. But yeah, So that is the thing if you're keeping up with that whole thing. Next up.
Alrighty. Next up. Borderlands, Moxie's Mysterious Memento trade paperback. So this is written by Amy Chu with cover and interior art by Mike Norton. This is created in close collaboration with Gearbox Entertainment, Dark Horse. That's the I guess the company that did the video game, and this trade paperback collects Borderlands Moxie's Mysterious Memento number 1 through 4. It's gonna be priced at $19.99, published early this month, actually.
Yep. Hey, just in time for Borderlands 4 coming out this past week. So hey, go figure. Next up, balance saving the world and personal drama in the Invincible TTRPG, excuse me. So Free League Publishing has devised rule sets for witty banter and bloody fights, according to this Polygon article. And yes, you heard right. There is a role-playing game for Invincible, the comic book turned animated series. So, quote, the thing that stands out to me was so ideal for adapting Invincible to a tabletop role-playing game is the ideal of progression, and also it's big and there's money in it. That was me paraphrasing, but and this is from D&D Beyond founder Adam Bradford, who was talking to Polygon about this. Whereas in other continuities of comics, there are just these endless reboots and retcons. Invincible has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it tells the whole story over 144 issues. Yeah. So, and it goes into what Invincible is. If you don't know about that by now, I don't know what to tell you. But the Invincible superhero role-playing used the Year Zero engine that serves as the basis for several other Free League games, such as Blade Runner and Alien, the role-playing game. The rule set is designed for high-stakes, story-driven games. Let's see. I am scrolling down to look for a price. Just going into spoilers. Yep, I do not see a price for this thing. So, and is it out? Oh, here we go. Yes. Oh, okay. So the Kickstarter campaign just launched on the 23rd. That would explain that. As I go over to the Kickstarter page, it is no surprise. Let's see. The goal was $52,844. It has very much made that money with a goal as of this recording with 20 more days to go. $311,000. 216. So 20 more days to go. So if you're interested in, you can, you can get in on this, and get into some backer rewards and whatnot for yourself. Have at it. Next up.
Okay. Let's see. So Invincible Omnibus. So this is the first 48 issues of the original Invincible comic book series. This is the first volume of the Invincible Omnibus. Will be published in... will be on sale next year, April 1st, 2026. It's actually going to include a Marvel comic book, Marvel Team Up number 14. That's going to be the first time that this issue is going to be reprinted. I think I own this Marvel Team Up issue just because I got it for the novelty of it being a crossover between Invincible and Marvel.
Right. As Kirkman was writing that issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I wonder. I probably already know the answer to this, but I wonder if it's on Marvel Unlimited. I doubt it, very seriously. But
right.
But curious. I'm gonna have to look later on. But yeah, that's cool. That is cool. Do we have a price?
I didn't see one.
Yeah. Well,
It's far enough out they probably haven't priced it yet because we're going to see a price in solicitations probably.
right. And given when it's potentially slated to come out, we'll probably see the next season of Invincible around that time.
Right.
So synergy. Next up, though, from the Ultimate Universe to Marvel's core, Miles Morales carries a dangerous secret according to this article. This has to do with Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion and those origin boxes that apparently he may have one of, or that has been floating around in that series that I still haven't read yet. So yeah, it's a 5-issue miniseries co-written by Dennis Camp. Let's see. And I think that, yeah, according to this, the last issue of the miniseries is going to come on October 22nd with, according to this article, a twist that shakes the Marvel multiverse. Says here, Miles won't just make it back to the main Marvel universe. He's bringing something with him. Before he departs, Iron Lad entrusts him with the thing that I just mentioned. And yeah, ping. Actually, I just read the Free Comic Book Day book that pretty much is the going into this, and now I know why he ended up going into the Ultimate Universe, as opposed to him saying, because I remember when like the maker rolled up on him and was like, "Hey, you want to go back home?" He was like, "Nah," and at the end of that Free Comic Book Day, we see why he ends up going back there, and you know the reasoning is not surprising at all. So yeah, next up.
Abrams Comic Arts has announced its latest collaboration with Marvel, and this is an article in The Beat. Debuting in spring 2026, Thor: Behemoth of the Black Moon is an original graphic novel written and illustrated by the Goon creator Eric Powell. Oh, that's cool. Thor: Behemoth of the Black Moon joins Abrams' Marvel Arts line, curated by Alex Ross and edited by Abrams Comics Arts editor-in-chief Charles Kochman. Each book under this umbrella represents a unique take on a beloved character. Behemoth of the Moon follows Thor as he confronts his father Odin's dark legacy, and there's some cover art here. Yeah, that's very Goon-esque.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool. It's cool to see that he's got a little bit of freedom to do this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be available in a full-color 80-page hardcover edition in May 2026.
Here it is. Next up, absolutely
yeah,
wonderful.
I was about to say, just as a quick addendum, far enough out that they haven't priced it yet.
Yeah, therein lies that. So this next article is about Absolute Wonder Woman, of which 12 to be specific, of which Agent 70 talked about. So we can move past that. And I'll take this next one with Birds of Prey.
I was about to say that's a spoiler for the cliffhanger page.
Right. So, like I said, so we'll skip past that. To some sad news, actually, but it was going to happen at some point. Birds of Prey is canceled with number 28 in September 2025. The September solicitations have been coming out in the past few days. Actually, DC's was out last week when we DC and Marvel's was out last week when we recorded, and some more came out this week. So if you're interested in what solicitations are out there for this week, feel free to check out the show notes. There's a whole section for that. But yeah, let's see. The Kelly Thompson and Sammy Basri series will be ending in 28. The final 3 issues will wrap up the storyline featuring the team's battle with, the Shadow Army's Unreality, and it goes through the team makeup of which folks have been popping in and out of. And it says here that the last arc promises one final mission, high stakes in Gotham, and no second chances for the Birds of Prey. I've really been enjoying Birds of Prey. So sad to see it go. But like I said, I felt like eventually it was going to at some point. It had a good run, put it that way. It has had a pretty good run so far. And I'm sure it will end the same way. Next up.
The Batman First Knight returns the Dark Knight to his roots. I guess it's crime noir and horror.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Black Label limited series. It's a thrilling period piece that places the Dark Knight in 1939 as the country braces for World War II. Okay, let's see. Pricing. So the Batman First Knight is written by Dan Jurgens, with art by Mike Perkins. Looking for pricing. So it's going to be a hardcover graphic novel. Still no pricing. But it's Black Label, so it's going to be like, one of those more deluxe issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're interested in that, you can go through this article and see some preview pages of it if you are, if you're so inclined. Also, Mike Spicer's on this book. So, next up, DC Comics. We're getting into a little bit of Toy Corner with DC Comics classic Batgirl figure coming soon from McFarlane Toys. If you're watching the video version, you can see said picture right there, photo right there of Batgirl. Blah blah. Let's see. Pre-orders are open now for $26.99, and the figure will be releasing in October of this year, which means next month, basically. The collectible will include a grapple gun, batarang, art card, and display base for fans and collectors. So yeah, it's the blue and gray joint. Like I said, if you're watching the video version, you can see the figure right there. Next up.
Oh, that's cool. It comes with a cloth cape.
Mm-hmm.
A fabric cape. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alrighty. McFarlane Toys unveils a new DC Comics Batman Earth 2 figure. So what makes this Earth 2 figure special? He's got a funky design. This is Dick Grayson and DC's Earth 2 Society. It's black and gold. That is pretty much a non-Batman suit. It's got a fabric cape, so that must be a new thing for McFarlane Toys, or a current, a current fad for them. It's $26.99. The pre-orders are open now, and this is going to release in October 2025.
And it looks like he's got a mustache, but that's part of the mask. But it just looks like he has a mustache, though. That's funny.
Yeah, that's funky.
Next up, though, Batman sits upon a throne of lies. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not what it says. Batman sits upon the Mobius chair. In a McFarlane Toys release. By the way, we did not say this, but Batman Day was December 20th. So if you wonder why there's so much Batman toy news is going on, that's probably why.
I was about to say, did you go to the comic book store? Did you happen to be at the comic book store for that? I did. I happened to be at my comic book store for Batman Day.
Actually,
wait.
No, I didn't, because I went on Sunday. So
right, I did get some of the Batman giveaway books that they had.
In fact, when I inquired the week before if they were my shop was having anything, I don't think they were too plussed about doing anything for the day. So I don't know if they actually did anything or not for it. I don't think they did because I don't remember seeing anything that was left over when I went in there that Sunday. So, but that being the case, yeah, like I said, you got your new Batman figure. Let's see, with the Mobius chair. It is going to be, pre-orders are open now. It's going to be $34.99. Also shipping next month. It is called Batman Mobius Chair Collector Edition number 47. It's going to have a new suit, fabric cape, like I said, like Agent 70 said, that seems to be the new thing. Batarang, extra hands, and it comes with the chair, the aforementioned Mobius chair from Dark Side War. So there you go. I'll flip through a couple of these images real quick before we go to the next. Before we go to the next story. He kind of looks real scummy sitting in the chair like that, but I like it. Anyway, next up.
New Batman Returns action figures give us the Christopher Walken Max Shrek figure. So this is from... Let's see here. McFarlane Toys is doing some Batman Returns action figures, and we're getting Michael Keaton's Armored Up Batman alongside Danny DeVito's Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. That looks pretty good, that particular Catwoman. Catwoman always looks good. But the real surprise in this wave also includes Christopher Walken's corporate sleazeball Max Shrek. So let's see here. Pricing. Pre-orders open September 19th, so they're open now. And let's see. Max Shrek and the Penguin with the Duck will be GameStop exclusives at launch, with Shrek also hitting Walmart and Target in October and November. Okay.
Oh yeah, there's the duck. I didn't see that. And the penguins.
Yeah, like I said, the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman always looks good.
Sure. Next up, Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett SH Figure Arts Boba Fett. We have right here from Tamashii Nations. Let's see. It's a 6-inch scale figure. It's coming with with both masked and unmasked portraits, interchangeable hands, a gaffy stick, a blaster pistol, blaster rifle, and a jetpack. Excuse me. Pre-orders will begin on October 1st with a release date of April 2026. In Japan, the figure will be priced at 11,550 yens. That's like $78 according to this article, USD bucks. And though the price will likely be higher because tariffs. So yeah, but if you are interested in that, here, let's flip through a couple of these images real quick. Like blam blam, bop bop. Pretty good looking Django. Boba.
Now I want bubble tea.
I know, right? There's one with him and Mando, as Actually, I think there might be another. That Mando figure is probably already out. I'm assuming. But anyway, there is line that. Next up,
Marvel Wolverine gameplay trailer revealed at PlayStation State of Play 2025. Marvel's Wolverine is going to launch on PS5 in fall 2026, at least a year away, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, State of Play viewers got their first look at Marvel's Wolverine. Let's see. So this is coming from Insomniac Games, the people who did Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man 2. And
Miles Morales.
Oh no, I'm just reading the article. So this game is going to be rated M17 plus, because the trailer is apparently rated M17 plus because it's got spilled guts and broken bones. Okay.
Oh yeah, they go for it. They go for it indeed in that trailer. I did absolutely see that one. So they're doing the full on Wolverine with this one. So, and it looked good too. So, be prepared for that when that happens. And they even
Is he going to be short? Is he going to be short? That's all I really care about.
I can't answer that honestly. My mouse just went out. That's not going to be good. But well,
Because if he's 6'4", that's gonna be whack.
Yeah, I mean, so well, I mean, because it's a video game, yes, he's going to be short. I'm fairly certain, actually. Not I remember seeing the thing, but okay, what happened?
Because I'm looking at the gallery of images, and it's hard to tell. He looks shorter than the characters he's interacting with, right? But that's not, that's not 100%.
Right. Well, shucks, I got a problem going on here. So,
Houston, we've got a problem.
Yeah, I think my mouse just kicked out on me. So
not a battery thing. Not if you like jiggle it around or something.
I don't know if it actually has a battery because I don't see how to get into. Oh yes, it does. Oh yes, it does. Okay, hold on. I can take care of this. It's fine, folks.
Listen, it happens. It happens to me often, and I just sort of kind of, go because the thing is because I'm on laptops, I go touchpad until I can figure out a way to get some new batteries.
Yeah, unfortunately, cannot do that. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, folks. This is.
It's all right. We're almost done. Do you want me to pick up the next one?
I mean, even if you did, I can't switch it over for the video.
Oh, that's right. For the story, I got it.
So they're in.
I got it. Oh no, wrong Jeopardy. Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, I know both of these work. So what are we doing here?
In the meantime, I just wanted to mention that we do have a little bit of show and sell toy corner.
Yes, that is.
Because we are in the home stretch of news.
Yeah, and why is this doing this now? I do not know. That is. There we go. Okay. I tell you what. Apparently, neither one of these batteries want to work for me. So now I need to go and hunt some freshies because these two are freshies. So I don't know what happened. But while I do that, I tell you what. You talk about the next story, and by the time I get back, hopefully I will be able to switch it over.
Alrighty. Okay. Next story. Gundam's first ever Gunpla for classic 90s anime movie is getting a re-release after it was immediately sold out. So, let's see here. This was a much rarer mecha from the franchise, and it's now getting its model kit released again after it quickly sold out. The RE/100 Denan Guy didn't last long, with the pre-order period for the kit resulting in an almost immediate sellout for the collectible. Based on a somewhat forgotten Gundam movie, it boasts an incredibly unique design, with several details from the anime film. With the new pre-order period now open, buying the Denan Guy is the best way to revisit the 1991 flick. So, derived from the movie Mobile Suit Gundam F91, the RE100 Denan Guy model kit brings the film's foot soldier mobile suit to life. Okay.
And we're back.
Yay! Looking for pricing. So it retails for around $55. It's expected to ship out in December 2025. It's available on sites such as Gundam Maker. I have more than enough Gundam to build right now. I don't need this one.
And plus, you don't, you only you only have the affinity with a couple of series anyway at this point. So I mean,
Right.
unless you're just out there looking for like, well, this looks good type situation.
Right. I mean, listen, I think that's part of the draw.
Yeah.
Is that this looks pretty cool. This would look cool on my shelf. So I think a lot of people buy Gundams for that specific purpose. Like they'll just look at a model and say, this would look cool to build.
Yeah, sometimes, but most of the times, like not now, they're just straight up into it.
Well, I was about to say, I honestly think that's part of it, but I think most people are the collectors that you're referring to.
Yeah.
You know, because they're familiar with, you know, a particular anime, movie, or series. That's why they're going to build a particular model.
Yeah, pretty much. There are them folks out there. So, but yeah, this one does look pretty good. I'm not familiar from the movie that this one comes from, but so this article calls it the most iconic mecha. I'm like, if you say so.
It looks very. It honestly looks very Warhammer.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It looks very Warhammer because there are a lot of shapes that are, at least to me, not very Gundam, but it looks more Warhammer because of the rounded shoulders and specifically the helmet piece.
Actually, I would go a little bit further than that. Although there are some Gundams that kind of had this little thing to it. I would say,
yeah, like Warhammer 40K.
Right. But I would say it looks a little bit more Appleseed, if you are familiar with that. And I'm saying that because of the helmet, but you know, and folks know that no.
Yeah, the wings of the helmet. Yeah.
Right.
But if you look at the faceplate part,
Right.
that looks very Warhammer.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, like I said, I can definitely see that. So, but that backpack and whatnot is definitely, that is all Gundam, and the shoulder blades and the shoulder pads and all that. Anyway, so yeah, therein lies that. No Age of 70. Oh, let's see, what is this from? After War Gundam X. So yeah, there you go. Next up, Transformers reunites with Hot Wheels for our official reveal of Optimus Prime's evil clone. So this is Nemesis Prime, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name of it. It's the black truck with the purple Decepticon logo in it, as it were. Let's see. Yep, it is Nemesis Prime. I was right. You can see the box that comes in, and it transforms, because that's what you want out of that. And it is priced. It is expected to ship out, according to this article, by November 7th, 2025, and is going to retail for $65. There you go. You can pre-order it now on the Mattel Creations website if you are so interested. So, not bad looking figure, honestly. So, and of course, if I'm not mistaken, diecast, as they tend to want to do.
If it's going to be Hot Wheels.
It's a lost art, as we say. Next up.
That's it.
Oh, and actually, that's it. Yes, that is the end of the news, folks. So, before we get into our last ad read, Agent 70 has a little show and tell for us. So
yes, show and tell Toy Corner, folks. Bear with us. I'll do my best to not take forever. I'm gonna turn off my background so that we can talk show and tell toys. So I ordered a few things that finally got here this past week. And one of the things that I've been looking forward to, you know, I'd recently gotten a Hasbro Pulse membership to do things at San Diego Comic-Con. And I double checked their website, and they actually still had this particular set in stock. This is the Shield Agent 3-pack with Dum Dum Dugan, Nick Fury Jr., you know, with the Nick Fury Senior head. I wish there was a Gabe Jones head with this figure, because there are Nick Fury Jr. Figures, I believe, around. And obviously there is another Nick Fury Senior figure that looks like this, that's in this particular model. And Sharon Carter here, this is not the first Sharon Carter. There was, I believe, a comic book Sharon Carter that came out in a Captain America wave. But this is, you know, a pretty good representation. And obviously these are pinless, so it's a pretty cool 3-pack. Happy to have this. I don't think I ever thought we were going to get a Dum Dum Dugan bowler hat Marvel Legend, but we got it. So that's pretty cool to have. I did not know. I wish that there was a little bit more of a heads up for this particular wave or these particular characters. This is from Bandai. They're labeled High Definition Ultimate Legends. These are Demon Slayer figures. This is a smaller scale, but I've gotten all of the waves that have come out so far. The first is the Hinokami Kagura Tanjiro, basically a reissue of the OG Tanjiro with the flaming sword. We get a Giyu Tomioka figure. And last but not least, we get our first bad guy of this wave, which is pretty cool. We get an Akaza. And for anyone who's watched the Demon Slayer movie, the first movie in the final trilogy, you're going to appreciate having all three of these figures in your collection. So I definitely am jazzed to open these and put these up on my little Demon Slayer display behind me. The shelf is going to be pretty crowded with Demon Slayer after this, so I may have to migrate them. See, look, I found a synonym for port. I may have to migrate them to another area or another shelf to better display them, to give them more space. And that's it for Show and Tell Toy Corner.
Nice. Last ad read, please.
Our last ad read for the night is for help keeping our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or some of these Bandai toys. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, remember to use our link. Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Now remember to use our link, bookmark the link, or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN each time you order. We thank you for your support. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today!
Alrighty, and that concludes this here episode. We would have been... This is probably going to get out, but we would have been finished earlier if my battery hadn't died out of my mouth, so that's crazy. Anyway, we will be back next week with this week's episode of Peacemaker, which, again, because of the way things, the way we record, we did not get the chance to watch. So therein lies with that, and so on and so on and so on. But I believe that's about it that is on our purview for the immediate future. I don't remember anything else coming down the line, at least until like December or something. Regardless, but yeah, so we'll be back next week. Like I said, same bad time, same bad channel for all that goodness. Actually, Marvel Spider-Man, the the Magic the Gathering set comes out actually today as of recording this. Hoping I am going to get my box set, so that might be a little bit of show and tell for me next week. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to sit here and crack open cards, but you know, we'll see how that works out. But anyway, like I said, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerd on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_7 on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find this here podcast on the Cold Slover Podcast Network, CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast person place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slover Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. But also, you can find us each week recording Thursday nights mostly 9:30/10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. And hit that notification button so you know when we're on live and direct.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate this. Like I said, if you were wanting the podcast video if you want the podcast in video form to be in a feed, it is actually out there for you on the youtube.com/thekliqnation page. Just go under where it says podcast and you should be able to see it. And I believe you should be able to either subscribe to it or however you do it on YouTube there. So there you go. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.
Good evening, Rick.
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?